One. Wendy Myers, thank you so much for coming on the show today. How are you doing?
I'm fantastic. Thanks for having me.
It's such a pleasure. And I know you just got back from the biohacker conference, so I'm definitely going to have to pick your brain a little bit about this because I nerd out really hard into all that stuff, and I'm sure you got some cool knowledge that you'd love to share.
Absolutely. I had such a good time.
So before we hop into things, is there anything specific that you want to tell my audience that you think that they should know about your brand before I start grilling you with questions?
Yes, well, my website's liveto110.com and definitely took a while to develop the branding for it, develop the logo, et cetera, like that. But my whole shtick is living a long time, living a disease-free life, and doing that through prevention and doing it through supplementation, proper supplementation, focusing on minerals, detoxification, and having a healthy diet, which my diet is the modern paleo diet. It's a little bit different than the traditional paleo diet. I don't buy the whole, full on paleo diet that's, touted by Loren Cordain. I think it has therapeutic purposes, but for the everyday person, I don't think it's a good long-term diet. So I developed the modern paleo diet, and that's kind of what I talk about in my upcoming book, The Modern Paleo Survival Guide. It's all about diet, lifestyle, and detox, which is the missing component that a lot of people have in their health. A lot of people eat a healthy diet and live a healthy lifestyle, exercise, sleep, and they still don't feel right. They still have fatigue, and they still develop health conditions and symptoms, and it's because they're not detoxing. So that's kind of the focus of my website.
Okay. Well, I didn't even know about that third element, and of course, I'm just curious for myself. I'm sure my listeners are as well. Tell me about this detox element. I have a lot of things I want to ask you today because I know you have a lot of awesome knowledge in that head of yours. But start off by telling me a little bit about detoxing and why it's so important. Because I don't detox personally, but I would love to hear how it would contribute to my performance altogether.
Yes, well, basically the underlying cause of disease, they have all these different disease labels and names and different medications for them, but the underlying cause is nutrient and mineral deficiencies and heavy metal and chemical toxicities. The EPA has established we have over 700 chemicals in our body. The World Health Organization did a different study and established we have 212 chemicals in our body. That doesn't account for the dozens of heavy metals as well. And it's just because all of our modern convenience, so we love our computers and our everything in plastic bottles and whatnot, but it comes with a price. And because of the modern industry and manufacturing and industrial dumping, there are more chemicals in our air, food, and water than ever before in history. And this is why the disease rates, the prevalence of autoimmune and cancer and other diseases are increasing. It's not because we're more aware of them or diagnosing them better. It's because our diets have gotten worse. Our bodies are more vulnerable to accumulating chemicals and heavy metals, and we're exposed to them more. So for me, this is my belief. I believe the etiology of disease are these two factors, and so that's what I try to address in my program. It's called Mineral Power, and I try to address healing the body, healing the whole body, not targeting the thyroid or the adrenals or one disease. When you just feed the body the nutrients it needs, and you remove the heavy metals and chemicals interfering in metabolic function, the body heals itself. It's a very simple concept, but it works. I've got clients reversing Lyme disease and autoimmune. I've got clients that have cancer. It's not a cancer treatment, but I provide them nutritional support and detox, and it's unbelievable the results I'm getting with healing people's thyroid and adrenals, etc.
Yeah. So how do we rid ourselves of all these toxic metals that we're constantly consuming on a daily basis?
Well, my favorite way is with an infrared sauna, and that's what I talked about at the Bulletproof Biohackers Conference that Dave Asprey puts on every year. And this year was the second annual conference, and I felt very honored that I was allowed to participate and talk about the very real importance of using an infrared sauna to detox. And a bunch of other speakers there mentioned them as well, that they use them in their health regimen. And it's basically what you do is you sit in front of red light bulbs. It's not a super advanced technology. But there are the black carbon fabric panels that you see in the typical infrared sauna, the far infrared saunas that you'll see at health spas and whatnot. But I'm more a proponent of the near infrared saunas that just use red near infrared spectrum light bulbs. They have middle and near infrared rays that come out of them. And just an inexpensive, incredibly effective technology to just sweat out all these hundreds of chemicals and phthalates and BPA and pesticides and heavy metals and even radioactive metals like cesium. Not to mention it kills viruses and parasites and fungi and candida, and it kills cancer cells. At any given time, we have 100 million cancer cells in our body. When we have a strong immune system, it keeps all that in check. But when our bodies are so overwhelmed with heavy metals and chemicals, and as we continue to accumulate them over decades, that's why we have such high cancer rates, about 40% cancer rates, because once that immune system becomes overwhelmed with metals and chemicals, the immune system can't defend itself anymore, and then a few years later, you'll have a large enough tumor to be seen on an exam with your physician. So I'm all about preventing that and killing cancer cells with an infrared sauna before they turn into a tumor.
Okay, so where can I find an infrared sauna? Because you got me wanting to go jump in one right now.
Well, you can find them all over. They're all over, the large cities, at spas. You can go on spafinder.com and jump into a far infrared sauna. If you want to do one on a daily basis, more practical to get one at home. And I do sell many different sizes. I sell a single bulb, 4-bulb portable unit you can put in your closet or shower. I have mine hanging in my shower, and I have full-size ones, kind of a lower-end model that's about $1,200, and a full-size one if you want to get real serious, really nice wood paneling and choose your wood, et cetera, that has about 8 light bulbs in it.
Okay, awesome. All right.
Yeah.
So what have you... what kind of research has been done using these infrared light bulbs, and what have they found? I mean, what kind of, what is the prevalence of these toxic metals, and, what is the percentage that they're able to be eliminated using this kind of technology?
Well, everyone has heavy metals in them. There's no exception to the rule. The question to ask is how much of the metal do you have inside you?
Mm-hmm.
There's mercury coming into us in the air from coal burning plants in the U.S. and in China. It's a really big problem. There is cadmium from industrial dumping, nickel that's getting into us from our dental work. It's everywhere. It's in the air, food, and water. And these metals accumulate in our bodies. And a lot of people will unfortunately do a hair mineral analysis with their doctor, or do a urine push test with synthetic chelators and whatnot, and they'll come back with no metals in their body. But that's not accurate. I've had a lot of people come to me like, I don't have any metals in me. Mm-hmm. Here's my test results. I'm like, no, not so fast. The body sequesters these metals away from vital organs. Mm-hmm. Our bones are full of lead. We have storage sites all over our body. The metals are in our brain. They're in our liver. Like I said, they're in our bones. And so they're not readily able to be seen on a hair mineral analysis, which is what I use, or a urine or feces test. Mm-hmm. You have to do an active detox program like Mineral Power in order to be able to see all the metals slowly come out of you. And it takes 2 to 3 years of using a near infrared sauna or doing a more complete detox program to be able to see all the metals coming out of you. Okay. It takes a long time.
Wow. So is Dave Asprey one of the guys who's getting an infrared sauna every day? Is that why he brought you in?
He does use an infrared sauna. He does. So that's why he was interested in having me speak about them. But yeah, he's good. He uses a lot of biohacking techniques, and infrared saunas is one of them.
Yeah. So what can I expect to experience, like, once I'm able to rid myself of I guess maybe not all of the metals, but getting it down to like healthy level amount of metals in my body?
Well, you're going to have more energy. You're going to have more mental clarity. Brain fog is a big problem. People, they start getting into their 30s and 40s, and their memory starts going, and they think they're just getting old. No. They just have brain fog because their brains are full of copper and aluminum and other metals and whatnot. People will see that they'll have reversal of disease if they have disease, prevent diseases they didn't even know they had. They're going to kill a candida. So many health conditions are reversed or improved by using an infrared sauna. I can't even go into it. And there's hundreds of studies. The Japanese are really big on doing a lot of research on infrared saunas. There's, hundreds and hundreds of studies on the benefits of them. They're being used now for diabetic retinal neuropathy and all kinds of studies. That's one of the most recent ones I read about. But just so many applications, it's unbelievable.
Yeah, I think my audience specifically, they're always trying to go from like good to great. So I think they'd be pretty excited to hear, more energy. Like everyone wants more energy. I mean, energy is the juice for life for everyone, but even more so entrepreneurs, because everything depends on the amount of energy they have. If they don't have energy to perform, it's not like they can go through the motions and succeed. Like you have to constantly be very deliberate about the energy that you're putting towards specific actions to create whatever changes or whatever manifest whatever you want in your life. And so I think that's something that's going to get people excited when they hear about, decreased mental fog and increased energy and increased clarity of thought. I mean, that's kind of stuff that really gets me excited personally, because, some of us, don't have chronic illnesses, but it's definitely a proactive things that they could do that are going to enhance their performance now and prevent chronic illnesses down the road. So I'd also be curious to pick your brain about, are there any things that people should be avoiding consuming that the average, person in Western society consumes on a regular basis that is bringing more of these toxic metals into their body that they should be consuming?
Yeah, definitely. One of the biggest issues is water. People aren't drinking the right type of water. And I am a big advocate of only spring water. I have my spring water, always my bottle next to me. I prefer spring water from places more remote areas of the planet, like Hawaii or New Zealand or Canada, etc., where there's not much industry. The reason is because spring water has lots and lots of minerals, but it's also very clean. It's been cleaned by the earth in ways that we don't understand. It's been filtered through rocks and whatnot. And many home filtration systems, if you're filtering tap water and you're drinking that, say if you're using a carbon filter is what's used in refrigerator filtration systems or the Brita filter, you're not filtering out fluoride. You're not that, and that hardens your pineal gland, that signals your thyroid to produce more thyroid hormone. It hardens it. It calcifies it. You're not filtering out hundreds of medications. That there are residues in tap water. Those are not tested for or filtered for in municipal water sources. Not to mention chlorine. Copper is typically used. Copper, all of my clients are copper toxic, every single one. And copper toxicity is a huge plague on our society today, and it causes adrenal fatigue and thyroid function, and those are the two glands that make your energy. So you're going to slowly be eroding your energy levels if you are not taking care of your adrenals and thyroid, and you're not doing that if you are drinking typically filtered water. Reverse osmosis filters, they damage the water in a certain way that doesn't hydrate you, and I found this out when I bought real fancy $1,200, $1,400 with installation reverse osmosis filter.
I was going to ask you about those.
I'm drinking literally 10 glasses of water a day and was still thirsty. And that's because the water is slightly damaged. And even though it doesn't have any chemicals in it, it doesn't hydrate you. So that's not helping you. So unfortunately, there's no perfect scenario when it comes to water. This water is still in plastic, but you sweat out the plastics in an infrared sauna. So for me, clean water is of utmost importance for your health and energy and vitality and brain clarity, etc. So that's the price I pay, but I just get an infrared sauna and take care of the problem.
Okay, so spring water.
Yeah.
If you can get your hands on spring water, that's the biggest thing they can do.
Yeah.
Good to know. All right. Well, great to know that I've been, poisoning myself with my filter over there.
I'm sorry.
Fridge.
I'm sorry to burst your bubble.
But it's good to know.
Any kind of there are decent filters out there. So, like for instance, I like the whole house filters that use carbon filtration. It's just I wouldn't drink the water. But it's good to have a whole house filter, or at least get out some of those chemicals that you're showering in that are absorbing through your skin. Your skin absorbs everything. So if you have chlorine and fluoride in your water, municipal water sources in your tap water, you're absorbing all that stuff from your skin every time you take a shower, and more so if you take baths. And it's affecting your thyroid and adrenals and your performance.
Yeah, I've heard a lot about the effects of fluoride on the pineal gland, and how it can really just decrease creativity and clarity, and like you said, the effects it has on your thyroid as well. Is there anything else you can do for that, and besides finding a way? I mean, doesn't spring water have fluoride in it as well?
Well, I'm sure it has some, but not in the levels that are in tap water. I mean, fluoride is a naturally occurring element. I mean, it's something that our bodies will use a little bit of, but when it's added to municipal water sources, it's on a much bigger scale, and it's actually a toxic waste product. It's actually scraped off of incineration towers, and it was marketed as a product that needed to be used by the cities. Yeah. So it's crazy that this toxic waste that causes cancer and osteoporosis and other diseases is put into the water.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of that, and like some of the research on the whole advertising campaign they went through with dentists and telling us we need to consume it, and how everyone needs to have fluoride in their mouth when they go to the dentist, and it's not nearly as beneficial as they say it is. I'm sure we can get deep into all of that stuff, but all right, well, it's good to know. So spring water, so either
and I just misspoke earlier. I said that the pineal gland makes the thyroid stimulating hormone. I'm sorry, that's the pituitary gland that makes the thyroid stimulating hormone. And so my point was that if you drink fluoride, fluoride blocks iodine from getting into your thyroid, and your thyroid won't be able to make thyroid hormones and give you energy without iodine. So that's the problem there. I just wanted to clear that up.
Okay, good to know. So I'm just going to pick your brain because I have you on my show, and that's what I get to do. So I was going to ask you, have you had clients that you've worked with that had any issues with depleted nitric oxide levels? Is that something that you run into at all?
No, you know what? I don't test for that. That's not something that I've ever had a client complain about, actually. But so it's not something I'm really my area of expertise.
Okay. No. Yeah, have to ask because I've been seeing more and more about it, and the effects it has on our energy and memory, and how, I don't know, it's something that we used to not test for, and now I just went and got a physical, and they tested me for it. And so it's interesting to hear why or understand why that's becoming such an important marker, that you get that chest checked along with your blood pressure and an EKG. But it's cool. So, I really liked your brand, and I wanted to reach out to you because I saw Live to 110. My goal is to live to be 150. I mean, yeah. with exponential technology, I don't know, it may be possible. We'll see. Yeah. So what are some core baseline things that you talk to a lot of clients about that give them the ability to live into their hundreds?
Well, the main thing is you have to supplement with minerals. Our soil is deficient. This is well established by the government. They've done testing on, say, a peach, for instance. A peach today, you would have to eat 20 peaches to get the same nutrients as you did in the 1930s. Because every single year they test soil levels and nutrients in various foods and whatnot. So because the way we're treating our soils and the way we're farming and monocropping, and even organic farms, these large-scale organic farms, there's no money in remineralizing the soil. And it's a big hullabaloo about using manure, fertilizer, on our plants because it has bacteria. Oh my God. But manure is what has the minerals in it. So when and many organic places at my farmers market are using chemical fertilizers, these NPK fertilizers that have 3 minerals in them to grow their plants. And so huge problem. People are mineral deficient. They're deficient in calcium and magnesium and zinc, trace minerals. And so I urge all of my clients, every single one of them, are on chelated calcium, magnesium, zinc, and kelp. I have them take 6 capsules of kelp a day for trace mineral supplementation and replacement. And then I also have them on various other supplements as well. Depending on their hair mineral analysis, I design a completely custom supplement program for them based on their metabolic rate and other factors based on their health conditions as well.
Mm-hmm. So is there chlorophyll in kelp?
Yes.
Yes. Is that one of the main reasons you have people consume that, or why kelp?
Because it's from the sea and it has 100 plus trace minerals, and the sea is very much like our body chemistry. So in order to replace what is lost in the soil or missing from the soil, I have people supplement with this natural source of trace minerals, and it also has iodine. Most people are deficient in iodine, and even if they are taking it and eating enough fish, they have so much chlorine and fluoride and bromine in their bodies, those halogens that block iodine, that they need extra iodine to be able to compete with all these chlorine and fluoride in their body.
So I'd love to hear what are the biggest differences that you've noticed in your own life, and specifically your story about taking on this whole lifestyle where you're bringing these minerals into your body and you're doing all these things to rid yourself of these toxins. I'd love to hear what got you so interested and what effects you've seen from doing so.
Well, I got interested in health with the death of my father. He was diagnosed with esophageal cancer, and he passed away within 6 months, and it was a horrible death. And I just thought it was just a wake-up call for me. I thought, hell no, I am not going out like that. I'm just not. And he was in Austin, Texas, where you are now. That's where he passed away. And so I decided that I needed to get my act together, and I started reading about cancer and why we have these increased prevalence rates and natural cancer treatments, and I just never had researched this stuff before. And so the more I read, the more I couldn't stop reading. And so I started learning about detoxification in order to prevent cancer, and I just wanted to write about what I was learning. And unfortunately, I started learning about the vegetarian diet and I read the China study, and I got really into the China study and stopped eating meat. And within about 2 years, my health was toast. It was fried. My thyroid was toast. I went to the doctor and I was like, figure out what's wrong with me, because of course my diet was so healthy.
Yeah.
And I'd been vegan for about 6 months prior to going to the doctors. And so I had low adrenal function, low thyroid, low B12, low iron, low vitamin D, all the typical characteristics of people that are vegetarian. Not everyone has that experience, but I think the majority of vegetarians that I test have all of these deficiencies, plus they're copper toxic on top of it, which causes a whole myriad number of health issues. So I had to get myself straightened out again, and luckily I found this mineral balancing program that I do today. And the minute I started taking the right mineral, I started eating meat, number one, eating a paleo type diet with a little bit of grains. And I started taking minerals like the calcium, magnesium, zinc, thyroid glandulars, kelp, selenium. I started taking selenium and a few other things. Within a few months, I was finally sleeping through the night. I hadn't slept through the night in years. I was up every single night because of mineral deficiencies. People are having insomnia, calcium, magnesium deficiency. They're the minerals that relax you. I couldn't even think. My memory was gone after the end of that 2-year stint as a vegetarian. And today, after several years on this mineral balancing and remineralizing program and detoxing, my brain works so much better. I write 3 times as fast. I've taken information so much better. I'm still looking for more and more improvements. I'm always looking for that next improvement level, but I'm really happy with where my brain is today from where it was several years ago.
That's awesome. It's great to hear. So how often would you recommend someone getting tested and seeing where all their micronutrient levels are at every year?
Well, I have my clients test every 3 months because the whole essence of my program is to peer into the body chemistry And it's much more than just the hair mineral analysis is much more than just the mineral levels and heavy metal levels. I can see the person's adrenal health and thyroid health, and the patterns in the hair test tell me how to supplement someone to correct the imbalances on the hair test. And so once we correct one picture of someone's body chemistry, 3 months later, do another test, and then we correct that body chemistry, that picture, where they are at that time. And you get to see the metals that are coming out. Then 3 months later, do the same thing. We're peeling back layers of the onion of the body's adaptations to stress. And then, but you also, if you miss out, if you test 4 or 5 or 6 months later, you'll miss out on some of the heavy metals that are coming out of your hair. And it takes about 2 to 3 years to remove the bulk of heavy metals.
Oh, okay. So 80-20 for all this stuff. I know you said kelp is a huge one. Being able to get in a infrared sauna on a consistent basis, taking in magnesium, zinc, selenium. Anything else that you think is really pertinent? Because I know so much about this, so you're like, well, you should do all this stuff. Yeah. But for the average person, realistically, they're not, they also have expertise in so many other things that maybe they're putting a lot of time and effort into or money into. And so if we could just take a little bit from your discipline and the 80-20 of it and implement into our lives every single day. Did I cover it pretty well, or is there anything else you'd like to add?
Yeah, well, if someone doesn't want to take all those separate minerals together, they can take Thorne's multi-mineral. It's a chelated mineral supplement, and people can just take 3 of those tablets a day and meet their mineral requirements. And most people if they're just taking a multivitamin, they're not getting enough minerals, even though there's minerals in it, because minerals are really bulky. So you kind of have to choke down a lot of pills to get adequate levels of minerals and to replenish what you're deficient in. Once you're kind of replenished, you don't need as many. But for a few years, it takes a few years to remineralize the body. So I really like the Thorne multi-mineral, and I like kelp, Nature's Way, or Oregon's Wild Harvest kelp. So you take 6 of those a day. Work up to that, because they can be stimulating for people who are deficient. So that's the 2 supplements I think I would recommend people take.
Okay, great. Thank you so much. And so I was going to ask, is there a big difference that you've seen? I've heard a lot about this in the past. Is there a big difference you've seen between just generic vitamins and minerals that you can get from somewhere like Target or like an average grocery store versus like some of the minerals that you're talking about?
Yeah, I don't think it's worth chancing it. Any of those cheap supplements, they're usually in cheap forms like magnesium oxide. Definitely not going to be chelated, because it's expensive to chelate minerals to make them more absorbable by the body. So you're looking at minimum $20 a bottle if you want a high quality supplement. It's not worth it for your health. Almost all supplements have genetically modified ingredients or they're from China. And so that's where because I'm developing my own supplement line right now, and I'm calling all these manufacturers. All of them use GMO supplements from China. Yeah. And so that's not, what I want to put in my body personally, but that's what you're getting if you're buying supplements at Sam's Club, Costco, Target, or at your grocery store. I wouldn't touch it. It's not worth it. Nature's Made is one of the decent ones if you're looking for a less expensive supplement.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's good. It seems pretty consistent, unfortunately, through when you look at even conventional food versus organic food. I think there's some studies that showed recently that they took a bunch of it from all over the country. They took a bunch of organic food compared it to the conventional. It was 3 times more nutrient dense than the conventional food. It seems to be the same thing with supplements. If you get the high quality supplements, it's going to be just so much more nutrient dense than we're going to find in just the generics that you're getting for $3.99. It's just you kind of get what you pay for.
You're wasting your money, because the higher quality forms of different nutrients, they're just more expensive. There's patents on them or whatever, but they're also more expensive to manufacture and more expensive to source high quality ingredients, especially if you're getting into the food-based ones. There's hardly any organic food-based supplements. None of them are organic. But I like the Garden of Life. They have a new kind Organics in collaboration with Alicia Silverstone. They released that supplement line. It's one of the only ones that's an organic food-based one. So that I don't get, but consumers are demanding higher quality products, and the manufacturers are responding.
It's good. It's good to hear. Hopefully it'll be more readily available everywhere soon. So I wanted to ask, I asked every single person I have on my show to talk to me about an experience they had in flow where, time slows down or speeds up or becomes irrelevant, and you get present in your moment and you're performing just really well. And I'd love to hear from you specifically, are there any supplements that you maybe take that help you get into that state? And if so, what are they? And if not, I'd just like to hear your experience personally and what gets you there.
Yes, well, I do take some things to improve my brain power. I take Dave Asprey's Brain Octane Oil. It's pure caprylic acid, and it's got medium chain triglycerides, which is your brain food. That's what your brain uses it kind of mimics ketones, and that's what your brain uses to work. So that increases my performance. I also use phosphatidylcholine. Dave Asprey has another supplement called Choline for a similar product, but I take Designs for Health phosphatidylcholine. It just helps your brain to work better. Not to mention all the minerals, zinc, B12, and iron. These are required for your brain to work. You're not getting them anywhere except for red meat. You're not going to get adequate levels and the best forms of them if you're not eating red meat 1 to 2 times a week, maybe 3 times if you're a big guy. But so that's what I do to improve my brain power. And when I was in the flow state, usually I find that when I'm writing a blog post about something I'm really interested, or I'm really learning a lot, I'm feeling really intellectually stimulated and really excited to share it with my readers and listeners and whatnot. And that's for me, 5 hours will go by and I look up and I can't believe that so much time has passed. And I also can't believe how long it has taken to write the blog post. I've spent 20 hours on some of my blog posts. But I've felt that way prior when I've been in school, when I was at USC, and I'm studying and I'm just really, really intellectually stimulated. That's what puts me in my flow state.
Beautiful. And so when you're in the state, you seem to be very interested in finding ways to just enhance cognitive performance. What do you think is unique to when you're able to get in those states versus like a day when you sit down to write a blog post and you just can't seem to get into it? Are there any routines or anything that you do to help you get into that state?
I do. I don't have my bulletproof coffee. I drink bulletproof coffee to help me get into my flow states. Coffee is one of those things that I try not to use too much or abuse. I only give myself 1 cup a day, but that really helps me to get in that state. I find if I don't have coffee, I'm just like, ugh, like I don't want to write, or I don't, want to do much of anything. No, I'm just joking. But yeah, the coffee really helps to get me motivated and get the brain kind of working really, really well. And as you know, the bulletproof coffee, it's got grass-fed butter and MCT oil in it, and really gives your brain the nutrients it needs to function. Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah, I like to see all that stuff. I think we should create a solid baseline, and what I always talk about is using things like coffee or whatever they may be, if you want to experiment with nootropics, as just seeing what they are. They're performance enhancers, right? Like, we want to create this awesome baseline level where we can function from, where we feel good and where we can perform well, and then it's like, hey, well, what would happen if I took this performance enhancer right now? A big project you're working on and you want to really lock in. And so that's a big distinction that I try to help people make, is the fact that, everything they need to perform well is within them. But like anything else, like if you want to optimize, you can always work from that baseline.
Yeah, absolutely. You have to supplement. I tell people, if you want to be healthy and have optimally functioning brain, you have to supplement, mainly minerals, and you have to take care of yourself. You got to get, fix your circadian rhythms, go to bed at the same time every night, and don't be staring at your computer until midnight. That's going to affect your circadian rhythms. And so for me, when I'm going to bed, I go to bed every night at 10 p.m. That really helps me to, go to bed when it's dark, wake up right when the sun is rising, and get lots of bright sunshine during the day. And some other little tips and tricks. Use the Aflux program on my computer to dim it at night, so that it doesn't reduce melatonin production. Lots of little things like that will that I use to help me to enhance my performance as much as I can.
Awesome. Yeah, I use the Aflux as well. It's a cool program. Well, Wendy, thank you so much for coming on my show today and sharing this knowledge. There's a lot of stuff I picked up personally that I'm going to implement into my life, and I think my listeners are really going to appreciate your insight as well.
Yeah, well, thanks for having me on. If you guys want to find me, I'm on liveto110.com, and I've got a weekly podcast, a weekly blog post, weekly recipe from my upcoming book, The Modern Paleo Survival Guide. That'll be out next year, 2015. I've got the Modern Paleo Cooking Show, and all kinds of stuff going on. To lots of free information to help people live a long, healthy, disease-free life. But if they want to take it up to that next level, they can do my Mineral Power program, and lots of info on my site about that.
Awesome. So everyone head over there and check out Wendy's Mineral program. She's going to get us performing at peak levels, which is always the ultimate goal. So thank you so much, Wendy.
Thank you for having me.